Good.
Hey, Brad, can you say something?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How you doing, man?
Yay.
Cool. Man, I actually sent the message on another name of mine earlier. I was just asking about this chapter 9 where you're at there, just a little bit further, and you had said, I think in 24, not enter into the holy places made by hands, which are the figures of the true, but unto heaven itself. And then 25, 26, 27, 28 is you kind of stopped there when you were using the two guys and they were saying all their gibberish. But I've got more questions on what you're saying there. You're saying that he's up there sacrificing blood animals currently? Is that where you're coming from?
Yeah, is this your first time checking us out?
No, sir. No. I've been following you for a while. Me and my wife, we also put out content. And we also talk about different aspects of different things. As people in our walk have been like, "You guys are crazy." It's taken a little time to really prove our points with Scripture. This is something that I haven't heard, so I'd like for you to explain that out a little bit further.
Yeah, so let's start at the fundamentals, okay? Exodus 25 through 28.
Sure.
Did Moses build a patterned copy of the tabernacle on the ground after the tabernacle in heaven?
Absolutely.
So you believe there's a literal tabernacle in heaven?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. So Moses built a patterned copy of, as those 4 chapters detail, of the curtains, the pillars, the furniture, the altars, and the utensils.
The real ones.
The utensils. What were the utensils for in the one that Moses built?
Well, there were different utensils for different things, so it would depend on what we're.
Yeah, which one are you talking about?
So for the bronze altar, they had the utensils where they pushed the meat around. They were cooking on the sacrifice.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So was that a pattern after the ones in heaven?
Yeah, I get all that, brother. I'm asking you to go through the rest of 25 through 28 and continue with your same point.
Yeah,
Speaking of himself here.
Yeah, the first part of the point that you asked about is, you said, is Christ really in heaven's tabernacle with sacrificed animals?
Right.
So this is fundamental to what we're about to read. If the one on the ground where we saw the priest minister, they bring the animals forward, slaughter them, quarter them, put the pieces on the meat as instructed on the altar or in the bronze sea to be cooked up according to the type of sacrifice it was. All of that was a pattern of the tabernacle in heaven. And if we're in agreement with that,
yeah,
does that mean that there is a priesthood in heaven, in heaven's tabernacle, during the days of Moses, doing those same duties with those same furniture and utensils?
Okay. So yes, I agree with that. What I'm getting at is that he's bringing that to us, is he not?
What do you mean?
Is that not coming down? That tabernacle you're speaking of, is it not coming down to earth to do its duties here versus doing them up there later on? Were we not mimicking something that?
Are you assuming that the tabernacle that Moses built on the ground was a copy of the one in heaven, but the one in heaven is vacant?
Well, I'm not saying it's vacant.
No, it's not vacant. Obviously, there's angels, there's the elders, there's the martyrs under the altar, Yahusha, Yahuwah himself. So it's not obviously vacant.
Right.
But I'm talking about the copy. The concept of the copy is that there's priests doing a duty, and all the context of those priests ministering in the house of Yahweh was them doing a duty to make him happy with a sweet smelling savor.
Right.
And that says specifically in Leviticus 1 that those burnt offerings made atonement for the people.
Sure. Now I'm following what you're saying, brother.
I know.
Sean, I agree with the 99% of what you say. I'm just
that 1% may be the difference of why you had the question.
Yeah, read 25 through 26 and walk me through how he's not speaking of himself.
Yeah, so the high priest, I'm going to give you the shortcut, but there's also other people listening, so I'm trying to jump with a little bit of context here, because chapter 9 comes after 8 other chapters, right?
Yep.
Agreed.
So the other 8 chapters already told us what Christ is doing in heaven's temple. But now we're going into some more detailed explanation of Christ in verse 25.
Yep.
Nor did he enter heaven to offer himself again and again, as the high priest enters the most holy place every year with blood that's not his own. Otherwise, Christ would have to suffer repeatedly since the foundation of the world. But now he has appeared once for all at the end of the ages to do away with the sin by the sacrifice of himself. So what in Leviticus 16, what did the high priest have to do every year to go into the most holy place?
He had to come in and sacrifice for himself first, and then he was able to sacrifice for the people.
That's right.
Okay.
So Christ, without sin, doesn't have to sacrifice a goat or a bull for his own sin to enter
Agreed.
the most holy place. He can just walk right in. He's indestructible life, pure and spotless lamb. He just walks right in, the ultimate high priest that we've always needed.
Yep.
So he doesn't have, so the comparison here is with the earthly Levitical high priest who is beset with weaknesses and full of sin, who needed to offer a bull for his own sin before he could even go inside the most holy place. And this is telling you Christ doesn't have to do that. And
right.
What also the Levitical earthly priest would be kicked out after the Day of Atonement. He can't stay in there.
That's true.
That's facts, yeah.
Christ doesn't have to leave.
Right.
He's sitting
Praise
at the
God.
right. He can go to the right hand of the Father at will without having to atone for his own sin because he doesn't have sin.
Right.
He can walk right into the holy place because he already earned that position by going to the cross. This is what the chapters before chapter 9 expressed to us in chapter 5, verse 7 through 10. During the days of Jesus' earthly life, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverence. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from what he suffered. So are we on board that we're talking about the same suffering in chapter 9 that we're talking about chapter here? The same suffering on the cross, right?
Yeah, it's once, right?
And right, he only suffered the cross once. Because it was prophesied that he would become a high priest in the order of Melchizedek before he was sent. So having been made perfect, that's him resurrected after he suffered, he became the source of eternal salvation to all who obey him, designated by God as high priest in the order of Melchizedek. So does a high priest in God's temple do different duties than outlined for a high priest in God's law? If you do like what we're doing, if you do think we're bringing clarity to the scriptures, you can help support us, either YouTube membership or Patreon. Patreon, you actually have how you access the additional content on Patreon is a little easier. Go to the collections tab and you can start downloading stuff and watching extra stuff. YouTube, it's anyway. Either way, whatever is convenient for you, we appreciate it. Appreciate your support, and we hope that you guys are enjoying us reviewing the scriptures and trying to bring as much clarity as possible.
No, obviously not. I'm not.
I know
I'm
it
not
sounds a little bit
debating that.
rhetorical. I'm just saying that's the difference here. And this is where people will say, they also use Hebrews 10, I think it's verse 12 and 13, to say, well, Christ sacrificed himself once and for all for the sins of the people. Yes. Sure. He went to the cross once. He's resurrected once. He's never going to die. He was given his priesthood in the Melchizedek order after he ascended to heaven once, so that he, as in verse 2 tells us, chapter 2 right here, he can minister atonement for the people.
Right, because of 27, where he states here that death was appointed to man, right?
Yeah.
And then if you keep going, 28, so Mashiach was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto Yeshua. That's where I'm wrestling with what you're saying. If you finish that full...
So just as man's appointed once to die and after that face judgment, so also Christ was offered once. He's only going to go to the cross once to bear the sins of the many. What does the law tell us a high priest does? He bears the sin.
Sure.
Right.
Okay. So
do you agree that this is priestly language?
Or killing any... the question now remains, what would be the point of sacrificing animals up there?
How does the law explain a high priest bears sin?
Right, but he did that, right?
How does the law explain? Do you remember Leviticus 10:17?
Yes, sir.
It's also it's number. I think it's in Numbers. Is it Numbers 21? So by them participating in their priestly duties, they're bearing the sins of the people.
And then they put it on to the...
Yeah, and they do their...
So where do those animals come from then? Are they just heavenly animals? Do they come... And I'm not trying to be facetious here, but do they come down?
I've taken you guys in good faith.
Earth? Like, where do those animals come from?
Yeah, we're just curious, brother. Like, this is a wild thought to us. Okay.
Have you guys been taught that heaven is an ethereal place that's non-tangible?
Well, sure.
Yeah, it's non-tangible to us, for sure.
So a lot of people use the language, they'll say, well, heaven's a spiritual place. There's no animals up there. Heaven's spiritual. Well, where'd that horse come from that Jesus comes back on?
That's fair. It's fair.
He comes back on a horse, right? Does he?
Okay.
I mean, the Spirit ascended on him like a dove as well, but we know that wasn't a dove, right?
That's not the same language. It doesn't use that same language in Revelation 19. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
So think about it like this. 1 Corinthians 15:45 describes the resurrected Jesus as a life-giving spirit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not of the flesh of the dirt of the earth anymore.
Right.
He's been glorified as a life-giving spirit who ascended to heaven. Before he ascended to heaven, he told Thomas to touch him, that he's real.
Right.
That's right.
He appeared inside of a locked room where the doors and windows were shut.
But yet he was able to manipulate the...
Sure.
Yeah.
And he even ate food right in front of him in John 20.
And drink, right? Yeah.
That food was human food.
That's right.
Didn't fall to the ground. Went into his stomach.
Right.
The angels who ate with Abraham in Genesis 18 ate a real meal. They sat there for hours and ate a meal.
Under the tree,
also,
right?
manna was also the food of the angels, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's real food from heaven.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm getting at is that we've been lied to by classical theism. Many, many churches, and including people that have come out of mainstream churches that follow Torah now, they've carried this baggage with them. I did in the beginning. Classical theism teaches you that it's a form of Gnosticism that teaches that heaven is not a real place, that it's that it's intangible, immaterial, non-corporeal, that it's considered the spirit realm that is unexperienceable.
Well, that's not true based off of Enoch and Revelation, because John's able to measure the temple and whatnot. So
I would say it's not true just because the Father never described anything like that. He describes he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He describes that he's has a throne that he sits on. Like
and the city on a mount.
Yeah, the entire promise of New Jerusalem for sure. You remember in Revelation 5, the life-giving spirit, the resurrected Yeshua, is in Revelation 5, next to the angels, next to the elders who are bowing down, and he walks over to the one on the throne who holds the scroll in his hand. And he takes that literal scroll that opens it, and then judgment starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the resurrected Christ that Thomas touched and Mary tried to cling to?
Absolutely.
I believe so. Yes, sir.
So he didn't change his body nature and structure and composition when he ascended to heaven. He's still the resurrected Christ that they touched, and he ate food with them, cooked them breakfast after they were fishing all night.
Yeah.
So again, that's what I'm trying to get at, the fundamentals of these questions, brother. I'm not trying to ignore you pointing me to certain verses. I'm trying to address the fundamentals of where these questions come from. We've been told a precept that is not consistent with Scripture, and that precept is a Gnostic, Neoplatonic idea of the spiritual world, that it somehow is not tangible, that it somehow doesn't exist. But yet we have the entire promise of the kingdom come is that a real city comes down out of heaven.
Yeah.
With real fruit that you and I can eat at the resurrection. Real water of life that goes out and refreshes the water courses of the earth, as Ezekiel 47 talks about. Mm-hmm. So why is it implausible that the law is also done in heaven and people got to eat there too?
Brother, again, it's not implausible, and I get where you're going with this, and I agree with everything you're saying. Yahushua has definitely ascended in the body that Thomas touched and all that. I guess I'm more or less asking what would be the purpose. Is it just for the savor smell, like you said, or is it more for?
Or is it as the priest year by year
Is the priest or the angels that need to eat up there? That they need to have food, like the the reasoning for all that in Leviticus or in Exodus and all the setup of it. I mean, what's the purpose?
Do you guys study Torah or study the law?
Yeah.
Do you guys follow the law? Okay.
Best we can.
We try.
Okay. Well, I'm just I've never met you before, so just trying to get a feel for where you guys are coming from.
I've been watching you for a while.
Okay. I appreciate that.
We watch several others as well that are Torah observant as well.
Yeah.
Do you guys agree with this statement in Leviticus 1 that this burnt offering prepared by the priest makes atonement? Does it actually make it?
Context, but yeah, I agree.
Okay, so the burnt offerings in God's house made atonement, both for the priests and also for the people. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then that those did those burnt offerings according to Numbers 28. They did them morning and evening. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And other times, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they did them at other times as well for the festivals and everything, and all of them were called atonement offerings.
Right.
And they're actually making atonement. So we're not just stage playing here. They're actually making atonement, right? Okay.
So you're going down the path that we're doing morning and evening every day up there, just like they were down here, or vice versa. We were copying them. I get that, but at the same time, we're stating that they're doing the same thing for the same reason. Who needs to be atoned for?
Why is there a temple in heaven with all these descriptions that Moses patterned the one on the ground after, if none of it's being used?
I get that, but who's being atoned for, brother? That's
all of Israel. So you guys are familiar with the hierarchical levels of priesthood in God's law?
Sure, we could use a refresher on it. As far as you talking about, like who's on top, who's on bottom, who's the leader,
the agency of it,
the agency setup.
So you remember
like the high priest and Levitical priests and the ones that were set up to take care of the tabernacle versus the ones that were doing the.
So that's within the Levites alone.
Right.
And that was in the context of the 12 tribes of Israel. The Levites were chosen to be representatives to the Father. Right. But within the Levites, then there's the high priestly group from Aaron's line, right, which was a specific family line. Right. But yet the Levites were considered ministers to the Father, but yet there was greater weight and authority given to Aaron's line, who then Phinehas and down to Zadok and all that.
Yep.
So what is going on with Jethro being the high priest of Midian?
Well,
we talk about this a lot, actually.
Well, he's a Midianite, which also came from Abraham, and they were taught that from Abraham. And Abraham, we know with the battle around Sodom and Gomorrah, was where he met up with Melchizedek, right? So, and we know that Yahusha was patterned after the order of Melchizedek, and not the ones, not necessarily the Levites. It was just transferred back.
How did you say that, by the way, again? The Melchizedek. How did you say it?
I just said the Melchizedek.
Melchizedek.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a different enunciation.
It's okay. I used to say Melchizedek, and then my audience got on to me. So I had.
Sorry, everyone.
It's all good.
Come on,
tomato. It's all good, man. Look, the reason I'm saying this is that just because Levi, the descendant of Jacob, was given the priesthood, and that's why there's already priests before Aaron is given the high priesthood.
Okay.
You guys with me on that? In Exodus 19 and 20, there's already priests at the base of the mountain
that's
that are a part of Israel, and they're already Levites. This is why Moses and Aaron are chosen to do what they do. They're chosen from the lineage that was promised in Malachi 2. It tells us the covenant of the priesthood was given to Levi. All right? It's descendant of Jacob. Okay.
Yeah, it's because of their zealousness, correct?
That's right.
At the mount whenever the people were worshiping the golden calf.
No.
Is that what you're speaking of?
There's already priests in Exodus 19 and 20.
Okay.
11 chapters before chapter 32.
Okay.
Okay. There's already priests at the base of the mountain. because they're descendants of Levi, the tribe of Levi. Malachi 2 tells us the covenant was given to Levi.
Yes, it was. Yes, you're right. I apologize. No, you're right.
You also get this affirmed in the Book of Jubilees as well. Great detail.
It's also in the Patriarchs.
Testament of Levi in the Patriarchs.
As well.
Yeah.
So Levi, the descendant of Jacob, son of Jacob, gets the priesthood, and then at that marker, the descendancy of who gets the priesthood next stays within the Levite lineage. But remember, there was a Melchizedek in chapter 14 of Genesis before Levi was born.
Yeah.
Right.
Where did that order of priesthood go?
Where did they end up? Are you saying they?
Did they just stop operating once God gave it to Levi? Did everyone else? Because we got clearly no, right? Because we got Jethro, Ruel, high priest of Midian, outside of Levi, outside of all of Israel,
Right.
doing his thing as high priest to the Most High God.
I get what you're saying. Sure.
And what did he do when he showed up in 18 with Moses and Aaron? He offered a sacrifice, a burnt offering to Yahweh that Moses and Aaron participated in, and it was blessed. And then, as he saw Moses adjudicating the law to the people and being overwhelmed, he gave Moses advice on how to do it better, more efficiently. Where did Moses get that law from?
His father-in-law.
It's probably the same law that even Abraham had, right? Genesis 26:5.
Yeah, and Noah
and
all the other cats.
Yeah.
So then we're acknowledging that the law did not show up at Mount Sinai, right?
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah.
it was at the
So
beginning.
it's been here since the beginning. This is
Brother,
why I
it
have
was
it here.
it was created at light when he said, "Let there be light."
I agree with you,
It was the Torah.
and that's why I put on
Right
screen Psalm 103:7. Yahweh made known his ways to Moses, his deeds, his behaviors to the people of Israel.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, and
You
also
know?
if we want to get technical, on earth the sacrifice started with Adam and Eve because they tried to cover themselves and we can't cover ourselves, and he sacrificed an animal to cover them. If you want to get technical on that.
And we see
That
right
was
at the garden,
on
we
earth,
see
though.
Genesis 4, they're doing first fruits offerings. They're
Right.
bringing forward the first fruit of the land and the animals.
Yep.
So that's
Right away.
that's an offering that requires a priest. What does the law tell us about when they bring forward the first fruits of the land or their cattle? Who's supposed to eat? The priest eat of those meals. Is Numbers 21? The priest eats of those tithes brought forward, those first fruits.
That's correct. Yeah.
So when Cain and Abel brought it forth, do we assume there was a priest there to eat it? And if so, who's that priest?
That's probably the answer you don't agree with, brother.
What do you think? What do you guys think?
I think I heard you say a couple. Man, I had to go back in history because I just came across you about 3-4 months ago. But I've been trying to catch up with your stuff here, and I think I heard you say the other day that you don't believe or think that Yahusha or Jesus, the Mashiach, was around during the Old Testament. We'll call it the Old Testament for now, but during that time period. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't think he was ministering on the earth before he was given his priesthood.
Okay. Yeah, and I knew you thought that way because I thought I heard it the other day on a video I was watching, and I'd love to get into that as well one night. Maybe we can chop that up. But
well, how do you reconcile your understanding if you believe that he was here moving and speaking on the earth before he became born of Mary? How do you reconcile that with Hebrews 1:1 and 2?
I believe that he is the right hand, as he states in the flesh, and I believe that he is all throughout the Old Testament in works, in person, in flesh,
Well,
I hear all kinds of things.
I hear you, but how do you reconcile that with Hebrews 1:1 and 2?
Let's look at it.
Okay.
Hebrews 1:1 and 2. Yeah, I mean, I would love to plow that road with you. And what part are we looking at? You are my son. This day I have begotten you. Is this what you're talking about?
Just the first 2 verses here. It says, many past occasions in many different ways, God spoke to our fathers through the prophets, but in these last days, he has spoken us to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, through whom he made the universe.
Do you think Yahusha was a prophet, or do you think he was?
He's called the great prophet, for one. And two,
Okay.
It says that God spoke to our fathers through the prophets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a prophet is a man who serves God as a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who spoke to the prophets? Is it the Son speaking to the prophets, or is it just the Son in these last days who spoke to us?
Again, I don't think you're going to agree with me, brother. This is where we kind of get entangled.
Was he still the Son?
I
And
believe that the
you think
Father
he's
has no reason to speak to anybody. And I believe that when it states in many verses in the Torah where he is speaking to man, that he has no reason to speak to us or any need to. And I think he has his set up with agency through his right hand, which would be the Mashiach. And I believe that he is able to convey his message and receive messages that he needs through his messengers, his angels, and through his Mashiach, and many other ways, and any other way. I don't think that Brad's personal walk or day-to-day knowledge is necessary for him to hear about or talk about. I think that he is above all of that and this, and I think he uses agency in a step-down general to private setup, and I think that he's got that set up in heaven, and he has. And I mean, we can go to many scriptures that convey that message. That doesn't mean that
I got
we're
one on
agree.
screen.
Okay.
Who do you think? Who is the Yahweh, your Elohim, it's speaking about here in Deuteronomy 10:14?
Sure. I believe all of these passages are going to be the Son, the Mashiach, or other agency step downs, whoever that may be. I mean, I could be completely wrong. That's just how I've looked at it for now going on about 5 years.
So he's referenced as God of gods, Lord of lords, great, mighty, and awesome. So in your understanding, do you hold that the Son is God over the Almighty?
The Son? No, sir.
Okay. So then the Son is always referring to his Father as his God, right?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That's agency. It's top down.
So when it says
Son
that
is the
there is
right
a,
hand.
The Son's the right hand.
at the highest heaven, the Lord our God is the same God 2 verses later, who's the God of gods and Lord of lords.
Mm-hmm.
So then how is this speaking about the Son if this is the Father? If I would suggest this is the Father, how do you would see this being the Son being referenced? If
Isn't the word there for those spots? It looks like you're in the KJV, but isn't the word there Elohim?
sure, yeah, he's the Elohim of Elohims.
And doesn't that have a plural context as far as the nature of the word? As in two?
Do you think
things?
2 people are speaking, or do you think one
No.
person is being referenced here?
I think that the Son's speaking for the Father. I think he has full authority to do that. I mean, that.
So in verse 2 of Hebrews 1, when it says in these last days he's spoken to us through his Son, are you assuming that the Son was still the Son of the Father in Deuteronomy?
The Son's always the Son, brother.
So then in Hebrews 1:2, why is it telling us that in these last days he's spoken to us through his Son?
Can I take a spin?
Sure.
Excuse me. So he's always been the Son because he's the Word. If we go to John 1:1, it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, right? But he wasn't actually God the Father. He's just divine with the Father. So the second the Father opened his mouth and said, let there be light, those words were Yahusha before he was born in flesh. And so what I think Brad is trying to say is that he's the mouthpiece or the Word. So every time in the Old Testament, the Tanakh, where it's saying, and the Word came unto me, and the Word of Yahuwah came here, then that would be the Son delivering the word of the Father, but not necessarily the Father, because it says no man has seen Yahuwah face to face, right? So it would be the Son delivering that word. And then where it explicitly says, and the Son has spoken, or he has spoken to us in the last days by his Son, in verse 2 here, that would be after he has come in the flesh, where he's tangible and we can actually literally hear him.
That's the tangible Son you were talking about earlier.
So the first would be the intangible, which is Yahuwah speaking, but it's through, like, he likes to refer to him sometimes as like a speaker, where, Yahuwah is the one speaking into the mic, but the speaker where it's coming out is actually Yahusha prior to him coming in flesh. Because I think we all can agree that he existed before he came in flesh.
What did he
Do
exist
you not
as?
agree with that?
Oh, I do. I just talked about it before you guys jumped on. What did he exist as? What did the Son and the Father exist as in heaven?
Spirit.
What is the Spirit? We're coming full circle,
I don't
guys.
understand the question.
Exactly. It's John 4:24. God is spirit, right?
Sure.
1 Corinthians 15:45. Jesus raised from the dead as a life-giving spirit.
Right.
Hebrews 1:14. Angels are ministering spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So they have physical structures. They have corporeal, tangible, interactive forms.
I agree.
Okay.
We agree with that. Yeah.
Vocal cords were made in his image and likeness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before Christ became born through Mary, when he was with the Father in heaven,
Mhm.
is heaven a real place where they're standing up there?
Yeah.
He's a divine being.
Okay.
We understand that. He just hadn't been in.
So your presupposition is that the Father never wanted to interact with us. He only did it through his Son and angels.
I didn't say he didn't want to. I said we're not going to put his words.
Well,
in
you said he didn't need to.
Right. I don't think that he has the need to come and speak to people, brother. I don't.
But why not? He made us.
Well,
so I got on verse here on screen for us. Exodus 33, 20 through 23.
Okay.
The he here is Yahweh. You cannot see my face, for no one can see me and live. He continued, there is a place near me where we can stand upon the rock, pass by, my glory will pass by.
Mm-hmm.
Put you in the cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand, and so I passed by. Whose back did they see in this moment?
Great question, man. It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we kind of go back and forth on ourselves.
Yeah, and it was the face that he couldn't see, and this is one of those moments, that's going to have to be explained away by this could be the Father here, because he wasn't able to see his face, right? Is that what you're getting at?
I'm asking how you guys read this. That's
well, it's one of those situations where he still wasn't able to see his face, like Yahusha said, right? Or and a few other places too. I think Isaiah. And anyway, this particular passage here, I would say that this could possibly be the Father for a particular reason. I mean,
Okay.
he's the Father. He can do whatever he wants. I agree with that. I just, on a normal basis, I don't think. Well, let me ask you this: do you think Adam saw his face to face in the garden?
No.
Who do you think
He
that
walked
was?
with them.
I think it was the angels, that the representatives, like you're talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think Adam saw a pre-incarnate Christ either.
Okay.
Who do you think that Jesus is speaking accurately here when he says that the angels in heaven see the face of the Father?
Yes.
Yeah, brother, whatever Yahusha said, I'm always in.
Okay. So Yahushua says the angels in heaven see the face of the Father. So it's a real face. He says his Father's on the throne in heaven, Matthew 23. So it's a real throne that a real body with a real face sits on, that the angels see and interact with. Okay. The angels are called ministering spirits.
Right.
Are those ministering spirit we see in Revelation 5? They're bringing forward the incense, which is the prayers of the saints. I mean, that's Exodus chapter 30. That's what Aaron was prescribed to do, because they're a priesthood. Are we in agreement that the angels are a priesthood?
I think they
I'm not
are.
in disagreement with that.
Yeah, I would say that there's particulars. Sure.
Could that be why Hebrews 1 goes to great depth to express how Christ is placed above the angels? Verse 4 and 5, given a greater name than that of the angels?
Yeah,
And
we
when
agree.
he was placed a little lower than the angels. Yeah.
But resurrected, ascended, and glorified, he's given a greater name than the angels.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
a position of authority.
Yeah.
He is the high priest in heaven's temple. No one is greater of a ministering servant to the Father than the Son in heaven's temple.
Absolutely.
The law is eternal. The Father gave us his ways and deeds to practice on the earth. Even gave them a replica temple to practice them in.
Yeah, they were his. It was his stuff. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep. So why wouldn't the the details of the law for priests in a temple be carried out in the true tabernacle in heaven?
I mean, I'm open to interpretation, brother. That's why I asked the question. You know what I mean?
So in Hebrews 8 here, 1 and 2, when it tells us that the high priest that we have, who's at the right hand of the throne of majesty in heaven, who ministers, this is a present tense word, who ministers in the sanctuary and true tabernacle. What is he doing? The same thing that?
Yeah.
So he ministers.
Yeah.
So what you're
so
saying?
This tabernacle in heaven was not made by the Son, but is made by the Father.
Correct.
Okay. And was definitely not made by the hands of men. So it's because it's not the replica, it's the original.
It's the real deal. Yeah.
That the Father himself built, but yet the Son ministers in it. So in the Old Testament, when we see Yahweh say, I am the Lord who made the heavens and the earth, you guys are suggesting to me that was actually the Son speaking, but not the Father.
Yes, sir. That's how I've always looked at it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is the Son claiming credit for the creation, or is he just speaking in your opinion?
He's only he's the mouth, brother. He's the one that conveys the message from the messenger himself.
Did the people in Israel, the prophets and the priests in Israel, did they understand that the Son was speaking in the Old Testament on behalf of the Father all those times it says Yahweh says and the word of the Lord says?
I think they showed reverence just like they did many times to popular or powerful people, is what I think. But that could be wrong.
Or angels when they tried to bow down.
Or angels when they bow down to the angels.
Don't do that.
And they're like,
you guys,
we're not doing that.
Do you guys believe? Are you under the persuasion that the angel of the Lord that accompanied them was the Son?
No, and this is something that that our group has talked about in depth. Actually, we in our Sabbath studies we usually have around 10 to 20 people, depending on who's going to be here, and we've talked about this in length. Some are on the fence about that idea, and some are saying that we definitely have a top tier angel speaking here, a messenger that's higher maybe than the guy on the last passage.
And some do believe it.
And some do believe that that is indeed Yahusha standing there speaking. So it's one of it's the reason I'm on here asking questions, Sean.
Yeah. Well, I have a very simple, opinion of all this. I think the Father does interact with us, but we've not seen his face. I think the Son was hidden in the bosom of the Father before the appointed time for him to be revealed at the fullness of time. I don't think that he was here everywhere beforehand. I think Hebrews 1:2 is very specific, that he spoke to us through the prophets in the past. Christ was not a prophet until he became a man. I don't see angels being called prophets personally. I see them being called ministering spirits. I see men being called prophets. So I'm not going to assume just because I believe Jesus existed before he was born through Mary was also a prophet, because he wasn't a man yet. He was still a spiritual being. So there's two types of ontologies that the scriptures teaches us in 1 Corinthians 15. There's no third type. There's spiritual beings, and then those things created from the dirt of the earth. So if Christ is not yet born through the womb of a woman, so therefore he's not yet of the flesh, he's not yet of, as 1 Corinthians 15 calls him, earthy, he's still spiritual, which means he has a form and ontology like the Father and the angels. That basically it's an eternal type of body. But that's what he dethroned and derobed in order to take on the likeness of man, which is a finite body, right? But before he did that, he was with the Father in this eternal type body. And
do you think he was hidden away?
Yeah, what was he doing?
Yeah, he was waiting for his moment. He wasn't just, I think honestly, he tells us that he is in a princely, kingly authority under his Father in John 18:38, when he tells Pilate, "This is, my kingdom is not of this earth, not of this realm."
Right.
So, but he's not the Most High, and so I believe that what we're seeing.
No, he's not. Right. John, you're right.
Right, but what I see emphatically, with no extra details or different explanation, I see emphatically the Yahweh of the Old Testament interacting with the prophets is the Father and not the Son.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's all I'm getting at. I'm very simple on this. I think that there was an appointed time for Christ, that he ruled over the angels in heaven but he was
What
just
was
not
his
yet sent
job,
to the
in your
earth.
opinion, though, Sean? What was
He's
he
like
doing
a prince of the Almighty. He's over the angels. And in fact, I would suggest this is spoken to us in 1 Enoch 46 very explicitly when it says that before the sun, moon, and stars are created, he, the Son of Man, who goes with the Ancient of Days, was named in the presence of the angels.
That's where we get most of our thoughts from, brother. That's why I'm asking, because that leads me to believe that he would have done well, like you just brought up. He said, "I have the kingdom that's not of this earth," right? He stated that I own, or I am at least a leader in that passage. Do you agree with that?
But of course, he's not.
Prior to, he was used to being in this kingdom. I mean, it was.
No, I'm agreeing that he was in rulership over the angels in a kingly capacity, not in a priestly capacity, but in kingly capacity before he became incarnate of a woman. But I do not see him or anything in the Old Testament calling the Son the Almighty. And I see the scriptures of Yahweh speaking to the Israelites calling himself the Almighty.
We absolutely don't think that he was Almighty. I'm saying that he had a job, and I think that it was more than just hanging out and being a prince. I think that he was.
I agree.
I think he was the leader under the Father, and I think people still came to people. I think the ministering spirit still came through him to access or to do whatever they do up there. You know, the things you went over, the full-blown priestlyhood. I think
I struggle with the idea that the Father did not need to interact with us. When we throw in the concept of need, we step into a type of philosophy where it assumes necessity, right? Where it assumes that if he doesn't interact with us, or that if he does, that there's some sort of consequence there. And I would say that kind of muddies the ideas. Whereas he created us and he wants to interact with us because he loves us. And so I think he did interact with us. He sent angels as ministering spirits to those inheriting salvation throughout all of time. At the appointed time, he sent his Son. Otherwise, you got this weirdness about, like, why are all the people prophesying about the Messiah, the servant who will be sent?
Sure.
Why is Simeon praying to stay alive so he can see the baby born, who's the promised Messiah, the consolation of Israel, if he's already been speaking and interacting with them forever in all times past? You know, like he's already always been showing up and talking to, like, by the way, when it says in Jeremiah emphatically, in Isaiah and other places, Zechariah, when it says the word of the Lord said this and that to the prophets, I don't think that it's just a formless voice that shouted from the sky. Like, I think it was an angel that showed up with the message, because that's what it tells us explicitly angels were made to do.
Messengers, right?
You're talking about the messengers. But you don't think that Yahusha would have been any of those?
I don't think it was his time yet. I think there was a reason why everyone's so excited for him to show up for the first time. And I think the passage we already read earlier explicitly details for us that there's only two comings. It's Hebrews 9. So the first time was to bear the sins of the people. He accomplishes that by getting his priesthood after his resurrection. The second time is he's going to play Wreck-It Ralph on the creation and judge everything.
Love it. That's great. We agree.
Boom.
Yeah. No, we just.
So here's the issue, though.
Concept.
The first time he shows up to bear the sins of the people, which is the promised priesthood for him to receive. I mean, this is even in Isaiah 53. The suffering servant who is sent, in verse 10, he will bear, he's the guilt offering, and that's the analogy for him, but also says he'll bear the sins of the people. And then verse 12 says he will make intercession for the transgressors. That's the job of a priest. So the first time he shows up on the earth, he's doing all that. The second time is to judge the nations. So I struggle with the idea that he was just here all the time, everywhere before that. That's all. And it's okay if we disagree. I don't think it's a salvational issue. It's okay if we disagree.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, well, hey, no, we're asking questions because we, like I said, we are learning every day. We try our hardest to get our people that are around us to continue to dig and we're finding new things every time we read the same passages. So it's a
great.
constant breathing thing for us, and we really enjoy it.